Hey everyone, this is Clint with Creative Retail Talks, and I am talking today with Lawrence Hoffman, VP of Sales and Marketing for Marvy Uchida. Hi, this is Clint O'Rear. Thanks for joining the Creative Retail Talks podcast today, where we will be discussing the latest in life, business, and retail. So visiting with Lawrence Hoffman, VP of Sales and Marketing with Marvy Uchida. And so we're going to segment 2 here and want to talk about where you are today, Lawrence, in your life and career, and kind of look ahead a little bit. So you're working for a company, Marvy Uchida, and I'll let you tell everyone a little bit about Yoshida. But one of the things I want you to tell us about is one of the things that I've noticed just being around Yoshida is it is truly a brand that people love. So tell me, what do you think it is about Yoshida that makes it a brand that so many people out in the market love it so much?
Well, I think with being, I'll kind of circle back a little bit, just kind of paint a broad picture of Yoshida. Yeah. So it's a Japanese company that based in Tokyo, Japan, and Clint, we've had the opportunity to go over there and see that whole facility and the factories and meet the people out there as well. Yes. And that part of the company was started over 100 years ago. Yoshida of America has been over in the U.S. since 1974. And the reason it was brought over is really to better kind of serve the U.S. market overall. But, I think the longevity has a big piece to kind of what endears people to Yoshida. We were one of the originators in a lot of different product categories. So, and I think some people see those and they're like, oh, I remember that when I was a kid, or, oh, I used to use that a long time ago. Oh, this has been a great product. So I think there's a lot of that kind of comes into play. And also, one thing Yoshida takes a lot of pride in is the quality of our stuff. So when you pick up a Yoshida pen or marker, it's going to work properly. It's going to work like the last one you bought, or the one you bought 5 years ago, or the one you bought 10 years ago. And I think people appreciate that when they use it. And again, with the Japanese really pride themselves on the quality of their pens and markers and inks and tips and pigments and all that kind of fun stuff. So the thing about our product, which I always appreciate, and I have horrible handwriting and I sell pens and markers for a living, right? So, but there are some people out there that make our product look really, really good. And it's like our product, it can't stand alone, right? I mean, a pen needs a surface or it needs something to write on. So there's a lot of adjacencies, but I tell you, there's some people that make our stuff look really good. I wish I could be one of them. I'm not. But,
thankfully, there are people out there that make it look good, right?
Yes, I know. Yes. I feel horrible. I try to write my notes and people are like, you sell pens? I was like, yeah. Thank goodness for my typewriter.
Absolutely.
Word processor. See, that dates me right there, my typewriter.
Hey, I heard those came back for a little while too. So, so you talked a little bit about, the people that can make the product look good. And obviously one of the big things a lot of people are focused on right now in retail, both on the supplier side and the retailer side, is engaging with customers. So I know you wear a couple of hats at Yoshida. You wear the sales hat and the marketing hat at the VP level. So tell us maybe some things that Yoshida is doing to try to engage more with consumers in today's market.
So over the past couple of years, we've really put a very strong emphasis on really direct consumer contact. And a couple of ways we've done that is, one, we've changed our website platform to the Shopify platform, which is much, much easier to navigate. It's easier on mobile devices. And our research shows that now about 60 to 75% of people actually access websites on their mobile devices versus their desktops, right?
Yeah.
But also we've spent a lot of time and effort in really focusing on some key social media channels. We've really focused on Instagram is a big one for us, Facebook, Pinterest. Those are kind of the primary ones we focused on. But within those, we've definitely reached out to a lot of key influencers in certain categories to kind of help tell our story, help tell their story, but make it seem like one story. So, they're happy using our product. We're happy using their surfaces. And we do, one thing we try to pride on is anytime we get any type of feedback, whether it's through our website or on our social media channels, we try to get back to everybody as quickly as possible. Because we're not just this huge, large company out there that don't have faces and names. Our customer service team, we try to respond to everything as much as we can. So we are kind of a small team, but we try to do the best job we can. So yeah. We're actively pursuing working with a lot of different bloggers and designers and things like that, especially on the social media channels. But also we haven't had a live trade show in a while, but also with really getting some very talented people to use our products in environments like that.
Yeah. So from all that exposure, which of Yoshida's items would you say gets the most attention in the market?
Well, it's funny because we would have to boil it down to Le Pen. And as a matter of fact, some people that they think that Le Pen is our name. They know it as Le Pen. A lot of people know us for a lot of things. They, well, you're Marvy. Oh, you're Marvy Uchida. Oh, you're Yoshida. Oh, you're Le Pen. Like that, there could be worse things to be known as, right? So, but Le Pen has been in our pocket, I guess, for over 25 years. And it's just a brand that continues to be very well recognized, and people love it. I mean, we were one of the original Fineline markers out there. That's one of those products I was talking about. People are like, oh my gosh, I used that to take notes in school.
Yeah,
that's great. So obviously we've expanded the line, more colors and different sets and all that kind of stuff. But Le Pen is one of those that people just really enjoy.
I think I heard you got kind of an interesting customer engagement a few weeks ago on the website with Le Pen. Who was that? Who reached out to you guys?
Yeah, we actually had two, but the main one was Drew Barrymore, the Drew Barrymore Show. They kind of reached out to us after the fact and said, "Hey, Drew loves your Le Pens, and by the way, we put them in our weekly little yellow book, our online digital book." And we're like, "What?" So we're like, "Hey, that's awesome! Thanks so much. We really appreciate it." And I kind of emailed the producer back, said, "Look, we'd love to get her more, and we've got all these other fun stuff we'd like for her to play with." But it's really fun like that because we've received quite a few of those just kind of off the cuff type things where people have been like, "Hey man, I love your Le Pen," or I've seen an ad in Vanity Fair of a celebrity who says, "Oh, one of my favorite things is this Oriental blue Le Pen."
Yeah,
it's totally unsolicited, and to me, those are some of the best reactions we can get.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, and I know I was down in Waco one time walking the Chip and Joanna Gaines Silos Market, and I looked down and there's Le Pen right there. So even Chip and Joanna Gaines have Le Pen in their stores.
No, that's really cool because I love those guys and they're so creative and they do some great things. And for them to be so drawn and really like the Le Pen, I'm really excited about that. I'd love to see that kind of stuff.
Great product for sure. I know my girls love using Le Pens, love all the colors, and love writing with them. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears a little bit from current life, your company, to kind of a volunteer role that I know you play. So I know you currently serve on the board of Creative Industry Trade Association, AFCI. How has AFCI had to adapt to the changing retail environment over the last few years, especially the last 12 months? And most people will probably be hearing this in 2021, but we're coming out of a crazy 2020. And everyone's had to adapt, but even the trade associations had to adapt. So tell us a little bit about just kind of what that experience has been like being on the board of AFCI and kind of what AFCI is learning and how AFCI is adapting.
First of all, it's been a fantastic experience to be on the board just because I've had the opportunity to really interact and get to know a lot of just fantastic people, very smart, just great people. And probably our paths may have crossed, but I wouldn't have had the opportunity to get to know them the way I have. So really, really honored to be part of the board. As you know, as everyone knows, especially in our industry, it's gone through a tremendous amount of changes over the past couple of years. And as it continues to change and evolve, one thing I can tell you that the board is really trying to focus on and do is really engage with the members to find out exactly what they want out of the association and how the association can help them better. So just kind of an example through what's going on with the COVID and the shutdowns and everything like that. The association tried to be responsive and provide, information about what's going on, about any potential government assistance available for stores or small businesses, providing, accessibility to protection equipment, for their stores and guidelines on how to reopen and things like that. So, I think the association has tried to be quicker to respond to what their members need. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the challenges is a lot of people still kind of view AFCI primarily as the trade show, as Creativation.
Yeah.
And I know the association is trying to provide a much more well-rounded approach by providing education and providing ongoing, business tools and things like that for its members. So the trade show is part of it, and it's a big part of it, but I know that we're continually trying to enhance the benefits provided by being an AFCI member. Yeah. But I mean, as we've all seen, from a trade show standpoint, they continue to evolve, they continue to change, and especially with what's going on now, with AFCI or Creativation kind of changing to a virtual format for 2021, we've seen a lot of trade shows having to do that, and not sure when we'll be able to get back together in person. But the goal is still the same, is to create that match, get buyers with manufacturers and get designers with manufacturers and bloggers and designers with retailers and manufacturers. I mean, the whole purpose of the association is to bring people together, and to bring people together in a productive way that's really good for everybody. With the creative industries, it's super broad, which is a challenge, because there's a lot of that covers a lot of territory, right? But the other part of that's exciting is it creates a lot of opportunity for different type of arrangements, different type of collaborations and things like that. So I know the association, we're trying very hard to be that for our members.
So you mentioned the trade show, and yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of people in the creative industry have really associated AFCI with Creativation. And I think they've done a great job of putting other resources out there beyond the trade show, especially in this last year. But let's talk about trade shows for a minute, because I know you participate in them as the VP of Sales for Yoshida. And I know with ASCI, you've been a big part of kind of helping steer the process to pivot that show to virtual. What do you see as the role of trade shows in the future? How do you think they'll be different? How do you think they'll be the same?
Again, I think it's a really, really interesting question. And I wish we had the 5-year down the road glimpse into the future. But but I can tell you, I think there still is an intrinsic need for people to meet face to face. And I'm saying that from a sales perspective. We've done dozens of virtual presentations. It's just not the same. I'm sure it's not the same for the buyer. For us not being able to show our product and have that tactile feel of being able to use it and understand it and see it and know it, and just the basic human need to kind of get together, right?
Yeah.
So I can tell you this from our standpoint, no matter if we write a ton of orders or not, the trade shows are incredibly beneficial for us. From a standpoint of, we have the opportunity to have the majority of our reps in one place at one time. We do get the opportunity to meet with most of our customers in one place at one time. Obviously, depending upon the customer, some of our larger customers, well, they're not seeing new stuff at the trade show. We're working a year out with them, so they don't want to see new things at the trade show. They want to make sure they're seeing it in their planning process and everything like that. I think that what we're going to see from the trade show standpoint is, I still think it's going to be a vital piece, but I think that piece is going to kind of morph a little bit, really more from a trade show, which there still will be that component. But I think there's also going to be more pieces for education and business development and product demonstrations, and which I know AFCI and Creativation does. But I think there's going to be a lot of draw for that as well. But I don't. Again, people are saying, "Well, this is going to change trade shows forever." It is going to change. I don't see there not being trade shows, and you may have a different perspective on it, but. I think it's a great place to be able to show your products. It's a great place to see the people you want to see and who want to see you, kind of all in one spot. And I think a lot of things get done. A lot of positive things get done at the trade shows. But it's going to be interesting to see, because obviously with these virtual events, there's a lot of positives to that as well. From a cost standpoint, but I think there's a lot that's still left on the table, even with these virtual events.
No, and I'm with you. I think it's hard to replace the human face-to-face interaction and the touching and feeling and trying of product and having a conversation about a product. And I actually think it's possible that what we see is maybe even a major rebound of trade shows once we get through the pandemic. I think 2021 is probably going to stay a lot of virtual. I think once people feel like it's safe for large groups to gather again, I actually could see trade shows having a major resurgence, because a lot of people that I talk to, and I personally feel this way, I'm like itching to just get with people and have in-person meetings and, in-person events. And I think people are going to really desire that and appreciate it even more than we ever did in the past once we're able to do that again. So, I think the virtual is great that we have that option right now while we can't gather in large groups. But just, we'll see. We'll know in a few years looking back. But my prediction would be, I think once we get through the pandemic and we can regather, that trade shows are actually going to see a resurgence. I think people just being able to be together and have those meetings and do things in person like that is going to be, exciting and very well accepted at that point.
Yeah. I mean, human beings are social creatures, right? I mean, we weren't created to be isolated. And I know this has impacted everybody in a lot of different ways, but I think we're all kind of ready to get to the point where we're able to get back together. And especially in our industry, it's such a fun and creative industry to get back together and celebrate together. I think we're all looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll tell you an interesting analogy that I've thought of through this is back many years ago, before I got into this industry, I was in banking. And so this was in like the mid 90s, back when you had the AOL dial-up,
right.
But at that time, online was just making this huge entry into the market. And there was all kinds of predictions at that time that banks would no longer need brick and mortar lobbies, that everything was going to be done online. And it was really going to impact the amount of real estate banks own and the amount of, brick and mortar locations that they all have. And so look at it today. We're now 25 years beyond that. And I think there's more brick and mortar bank locations than ever. There's like one on every corner still.
Like it, right.
Now they've done a nice blend of, a lot of people do use online banking, but a lot of people still go into the bank for different things as well. And so I think there is just something innate in us as humans, like you said, that still desires face-to-face, especially for certain things. So
totally agree.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. So we've talked about Yoshida, we've talked about ASCI. Now I want you to look ahead and project to when you retired, you're sitting on the rocking chair on the front porch. So 2 questions I want you to close this out with. 1, what do you think you'll be most proud of in your career at that point? And 2, what do you want people to remember about you at that point when you're off on the rocking chair, not in the industry anymore?
Wow, that's very interesting, because I haven't really, since I'm such a young guy, I haven't really thought about
right. I know this is like 50 years away, but
sure. I haven't really thought too much about it, but I can say, if I have to say what I'd be proud of in my career, I would hope that I can say that I've conducted myself respectfully and ethically, and that people would know that about me, and would know that I've conducted myself honestly. And there's not like a milestone where you'd say, oh, but I want to create this one product, or I want to create this one service, and that would be my legacy. I don't really think much about a legacy. I just want, if people ever think back about me, I would just hope they would, just say, what, he was a great guy. He was honest, he was ethical, and I always thought that he had my best interest at heart. So I would have to say, if I could accomplish that, I would say I'd be very successful professionally, especially in today's world. So
yeah.
I strive to do that. Do I fall short sometimes? I'm sure I do. It depends on probably who you talk to on a daily basis, but I always hope. And, I always see this, it doesn't cost anymore. It doesn't cost anything to be kind. Right.
Yeah.
There's enough turmoil and stuff in this world. And, the thing that I've learned, especially Clint, in our position in the sales side, things don't have to be adversarial. I mean, it's not an us against them mentality. It's like, hey, what can we do for each other? What can we do for you? How can we help you? So if I've accomplished those things, then I'd say I'd be very proud of what I've accomplished. So
yeah, well, I think that's a great thing to strive for. And I get a pretty close look at how you live your day-to-day life, and I'd say you're achieving it, man. So great job,
buddy. I really do. I do. But I've got so many years left to go before I sit right there. So I got to keep a straight path.
Don't lose it. Don't lose it.
No, right? Exactly.
Well, Lawrence, man, it's been great to visit with you. Thanks for joining us on Creative Retail Talks today, and look forward to many more adventures ahead together for both of us. And really appreciate your thoughts and your insight today, man. No, man, it's been a great conversation. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks, Clint. Good seeing you, bud.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation on the Creative Retail Talks podcast today. Be sure to visit our show notes page for more information on today's show. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, reach out to me at clint@creativeretailtalks.com. Creative Retail Talks is all one word. That email address will also be in the show notes. Hope you have a great day.